Yo, what's up, YouTube? As promised, I'm going to talk about my second half of my trip to Ireland a couple weeks ago, or less actually. This time around, I went to Waterford, which is like an hour east of Cork, in County Waterford, and it's named after a county just like Cork. And I also did Cobh, which is 20 minutes drive from Cork in the same county. So, to start it off, Waterford is the oldest city in Ireland. It was founded by the Vikings. I'm not sure exactly what year, but there's Viking stuff everywhere. The Viking triangle says Vikings. I'll put pictures here. Like Viking has like Vikings on the side of a building. It had Reginald's Tower, which is a symbol of Waterford, which I did. It's only cost a few dollars to go up, and you can take views of the river and everything, and has some few artifacts. One of the coolest things I saw was like a 1300s dog collar, which is pretty sweet, and a few other things like swords and pieces of like coins and little small things. And what I'll say about Waterford is there's so many museums in the short, less than a mile area, like that Viking triangle. Like I did the medieval museum. I won't put anything here really. I'll just put a couple pictures. There's stuff from like medieval times, 12, 13, 1400s. Different like swords, sculptures. There was this one thing where it said first book translated from Irish to English, and they had it behind glass. I'll show that here. And it was really cool just to see that, because now, even though Ireland, they still put Irish first in English, which makes no sense whatsoever. I get their cultural identity, they love their culture, but almost every other country is bilingual, even though Ireland's not bilingual, pretty much it's all Irish or English. They put the main language first, then the second language, but to each their own. So, yeah. Then, the next day, I went to a couple other museums. The one thing I really did the last day I was there was I went to the most famous thing in Waterford, the House of Waterford crystal factory, and it's amazing. I'll put some videos up here. Now you can see, blowing the glass and shaping it, and then hitting it with a hammer and everything, and it just molding the glass and blowing the glass and everything, and it was just incredible to see. They take you on this tour and they walk you around different sections. There's like 4 or 5 different types, like sculpting and like shaping the glass, smoothing the glass, and you can see in this video the guys smoothing the edges of the glass, and they teach them everything there. It's incredible, and they don't know anything about it at first, so they teach them everything. And it was just incredible to see all the glass pieces, like that guitar, the big, the history room about Waterford. I guess they have the sister factory in Slovenia where they do a lot of the collar work, and most of the work done in Ireland is just crystal clear glass. So it's pretty cool. And at the end they had a showroom which they had prices for everything. And the main pieces, like the 5 pieces, like the harp, the saxophone, violin, all them, gramophone, those were like $27,000 to $37,000 for one fucking piece of glass. Insane. They had like all the different types of glass, like Christmas ornaments. They had mostly like a lot of wine glasses, beer glasses, tumblers, you name it, plates. It was incredible. And I actually bought a little small candy dish, probably like that big, because I could afford. I mean, it was 90 euros, so everything else was so damn expensive. I mean, Christmas ornaments were like 70, but I'm like, I'm never going to use them most of the year, so there's no point. So then I went back to Cork and just hung out, went to the English market and Mutton Lane, which is, I think they say, the oldest brewery in Cork, or one of them. And the last day I went to Cobh. Cobh is an amazing place. It's only around 15,000. It's beautiful, right on the coast. It's the place where the last, roughly right down the river from Cobh, the last place the Titanic set out from, and the I'll talk about this in a little bit, where the Titanic experience was the actual ticket office for the Titanic for the Irish people. And then they have Spike Island. This is what I'll talk about first. I went to Spike Island first. You have to take a boat. It's only like 10 minutes, but it's like Ireland's version of Alcatraz. I'll post a video here. And you can see the boat going to the island. And I took the ring around it. There's a lot there. It's like probably 70 acres. And then I just walked around the edge, took pictures of like the cannons, because it used to be a military fort as well as a prison, a teenage prison, and then a military fort, then a teenage prison again. People used to live on the island. I took pictures of the houses that are in despair and ruins. There's also a beach, and then the courtyard, which is the main center of the piece of the island, where they have like one section old cells and the old buildings. You can see they're pretty beat up. I was actually, in 1985, they tried to make it into a prison again, and all these teenagers rebelled and shit, because that's what they do, they're dicks. And they ruined the buildings, and so they just said to hell with it, and that was the last activity of the island. And they used to be, like I said, a residential place for families. The last family was 1938, pretty incredible. And I took about a 45-minute tour, and the guy told us all these various things. Or Cork Harbor is actually the second largest in the world, which surprised me. It's bigger than New York. It's second only to Australia, Sydney. And he told us a story about Jack Sparrow, you know, like Pirates of the Caribbean. Well, apparently he was married, because it's a true story, based off a guy anyway, Johnny Depp's character. He was married to a woman, or his girlfriend or whatever. She was from Cork, and she was also a pirate, and she started in Cork Harbor, which is pretty insane. And so it was a very interesting tour, and I talked about how it was the youngest teenage person to die there was 15 years old, and pretty sad story, and pretty dark and disturbing stories. And so after that, I took about three and a half hours later, I took the boat back. Then I went to the Titanic experience, and it was just a small building, you know, and it was pretty interesting. Like I said, the tour said it was the original ticket office. They actually give you when you go in and pay for your ticket, they give you like a little slip of a real person, an Irish person, of real people that, you know, boarded the Titanic. And I got an actual guy named Patrick O'Keefe, not related to Miles O'Keefe, a former Tarzan guy. Maybe he is, I don't know. Distant. And he was, at the end, you go through the tour, it tells you everything, if they survived at the end. And my guy was one of the 7 guys in third class to survive. He swam toward a boat that was overturned and lost, and along with the dispatcher guy, Harold Bride, and a couple other people, an American Army military person, sergeant or something, colonel. So he was only one of 7, insane. And there was a bunch of different facts, like I can post pictures here, like how many survived in first, second, third class. The story about the guy that drank the, you know, if you remember the movie, the guy that drank the brandy when the ship was going down, he survived. There was a story about him. He actually started throwing like chairs and shit into the water for flotation devices, but the alcohol numbed his, you know, system, so he didn't feel it as much. There was a woman that was Argentine Irish, whatever. Violet Jessup was her name. She was on a boat that sank in 1911. She boarded the Titanic, it sank. She worked as a nurse during World War I, and the boat sank when it hit a mine in the Adriatic Sea, I think I said. 3 freaking times she was on board, and she survived them all. They had a story of her there. They had these rooms, like for whatever, not like the biggest, like John Jacob Astor room, but like just a standard first class room to third class, which is like double, like, you know, a hostel type thing with bunk beds and cramped spaces. Excuse me. They also had like replica menus of first and third class. It was pretty interesting. It wasn't very long, but interesting nonetheless. So after that, I went up to the deck of cards houses. It's right up the steep hill. The different colored houses, like triangle shaped houses, go straight down the road. And I took pictures with that. They were pretty cool. Kind of looks like Amsterdam type stuff. It reminded me of Amsterdam pictures. And maybe a little bit of the old town in Sweden. And then I went to St. Colman's Cathedral. And I forgot to mention I went to Christchurch Cathedral in Waterford. Thought it'd be cool inside there. There's only one stained glass window, which was kind of lame. But in St. Coleman's, it was beautiful in there. They had the beautiful altar, the organ, a bunch of stained glass windows. And you could see these various pictures. It was insane. I just like visiting these old churches for a few minutes just to marvel at the architecture. It was incredible. So that was my final day in Ireland. I took the train back to Cork and just hung out and got stuff to eat. So that was my too short trip to Ireland. I really want to go somewhere this fall. I need to get money together. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do it, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the 2-part video of my trip to Ireland, and like I said, what everybody's been waiting for, I'll put the video of what I got at the record stores in the next part. So thanks for watching. Rock on, YouTube. I'll see you soon. Peace.